professors, of course, Professor Dr Mohd, who has invited me personally to share my thought on this fintech, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and what's next in the next few years from now, and also all the speaker, Professor Tengku, Dr Wan Hasni. So you have the cream of the cream coming along to share their perspective on this unavoidable and very eminent future. Last year, and the photo was so straight to the point. Bitcoin is compliant. It's a good currency. I think I'm done with my speech now. Okay. But I did a mistake. To be honest, I did a mistake, not in terms of fatwa, because I have my colleague to start buying the Bitcoin rally. It was so cheap during that time, 1 year ago. We just bought a few, so I regretted a lot. I think we should have bought a lot during that time. We can convert now into a new valuation. But put aside the joke, we are talking about how could we see the Syariah and the Bitcoin together. As you can see, brothers and sisters, Bitcoin is a reality, okay? Cryptocurrency is reality. Though it is intangible, you cannot put your hands on. It's more of coding, but it will be coming to this part of the world, and the central bank and the Syariah agency, the JAKIM of Malaysia and the JAKIM of Dubai, the JAKIM of whatever in the entire world, Indonesia, and the big market, 70% of the population are not bankable. So they need this kind of new thing which is cost-free or cost-less, regulation-free, and everyone can use the currency of crypto to start buying into Lazada and Amazon and whatnot, because they don't have credit card. So not many people are getting credit card, but they can start buying into an account for them to make the transaction on e-commerce. So e-commerce and cryptocurrency come together nicely, and it helps the majority of the people of the world to be able to tap into the financial world. And the quick win of Bitcoin, as Prof. Dr. Mohd mentioned, number one is borderless. Number two is costless, because they are digital in nature. And the foremost or the strongest point would be the blockchain technology. The blockchain is the heart of the Bitcoin. Of course, as we speak, I have not seen the blockchain myself, the whole system. And if the central bank were to approve, subject to certain disclosure and regulation, someone got to do the audit and the due diligence, the DD on the blockchain. Because we have been speaking, we have been talking a lot. I'm sure, Prof, have you seen the real Bitcoin, the real blockchain in practice? Something that I wanted to volunteer myself to see, for me to give more security to the issue. The issue of Sharia compliance is beside the point, because it is a currency. Of course, some of you might not be agreeable to that. I respect your point of view. You can do more research. But the issue not security, how sustainable cryptocurrency will be in the future. In fact, I was asked in many conferences and seminars in London, Dubai, and I was saying to them, buy cryptocurrency and quickly sell it off before it was banned by some other government. So it is compliant, it is halal, but whether it had the future, I'm not so sure. And Prof. Mohd mentioned about the due diligence, the know your customer. I have some comment on that. Know your customer is the easiest thing to do. If we can link the process of cryptocurrency to the disclosure and transparency, so we can detect back who is the owner of the coin, of the Bitcoin, and who are these people who are selling in the market. And the central bank has the power to do that, so that we can open up the face of the faceless holder of the Bitcoin as we move on. So for me, the know your customer key, KYC, is the easiest thing to do. But to have the integration, the API technology between the Bitcoin to the due diligence of the financial sector is something that we have to invest into. We have to help the central bank, we have to help the people, we have to help everyone to be a bit on the move, but we cannot take the risk of of money laundering, bad money coming to the society, so they can wash the bad money to become clean money next day. The other issue which is quite interesting and not many has spoken is the issue of money printing. Because nowadays there's a cost of money. For you to print $1 or 100 ringgit or even what have you, there's a cost to it. And the cost is not that big, or the chemical, the paper use, the technology. And the government, the central bank, is making a lot of money from this money printing. They call seneraj. When you print the money of 100 ringgit, the cost is only insignificant. So the rest goes to the government. And the moment we use another currency in the country, that income will disappear. And this is something that, realistically speaking, there could be some resistance not to go for the Bitcoin, because that will affect the income to the government. So enough is enough on the technical part. I think I'm not the expert. Let me come to the Sharia perspective in the next 15-20 minutes. How do we perceive a currency at any point in time? Currency is a medium of exchange, is that right? It's a store of value, a unit of measurement. So anything that can behave in that manner, it can be the medium to exchange goods and services. After all, why do we need money? Money has no value. Money has no intrinsic value other than the gold and silver or dinar and dirham. They have the intrinsic value in the currency, because if that currency is no longer valid as a medium of exchange, there's a value of gold behind that. But other than gold and silver backed currency, there's no value. There's no intrinsic value. But the value comes from the very purpose of currency, to buy goods and services. Why do we need money? Because we need to buy something. If everything is free of charge, as in the hereafter in the paradise, there's no need to have money. Even in this world, your money has no value. So you can give your money to me now. The moment you need to buy something, you need the money. Is that right? So the money has been created from that perspective as a medium of exchange. And in Islamic perspective, the money is not a commodity. Okay. The moment you are exchanging money for money, it is governed by the principle of sarf, the currency exchange principle. It should be hand to hand, it should be spot, and it should be of equal if they are dinar for dinar or ringgit Malaysia for ringgit Malaysia. If they are of different currencies, they should be on spot, but not necessarily on equal amount. فَإِذَا اخْتَلَفَتْ هَذِهِ الْأَصْنَافِ فَبِيعُوا كَيْفَ شِئْتُمْ إِذَا كَانَ يَدًا بِيَدٍ أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. So this is the basic ruling of Bitcoin. In our case, Bitcoin is a currency. We are using Bitcoin not to buy another Bitcoin, but to buy another currency. And the issue of sarf will come in. It should be spot transaction. And the spot transaction under the Alfi standard, we allow the spot transaction to be deferred over 2 days, T+2. If you go to money changer, it should be spot. It should T+0, they call it. You give and you take. But the scholars of the world has allowed up to 2 days for the currency exchange to take place. So in the case of Bitcoin versus other currencies, I would say we need to allow as well for over 2 days. Because the other currency, not the Bitcoin can be spot, can be digitally transferred, but not the other currency, because they have to go to New York Bank to get the clearance from the custodian, make sure everything is ordered before the money can be credited to your account. So at the moment, that should be the ruling of T+2. But for you to buy goods and services, there's no issue of deferred or cash, because you can buy and sell as you like. So the hukum of saraf, ahkamus saraf, does apply or do apply to Bitcoin as far as the exchange of Bitcoin for other currencies. So money laundering, senorage, ahkamus saraf I have covered. The motivation of having Bitcoin, I would say motivation are very simple. everywhere in the world, put aside the currency world, people are moving away from any intermediaries. They prefer to deal direct with the person. Crowdfunding is about direct financial intermediary. There's no intermediaries. It's between you and the investing company. Lazada and Amazon, people are coming direct to the business. No more third-party kind of suppliers in the market. So even currency as well, people are moving away from a regulated currency to non-regulated currency, which is good or bad. We have to see, and we have to see the motivation of the regulator as well as the user of the currency. Regulation versus regulation free. People tend to make themselves free from any regulation. The more free they are, the better, as they were saying in the coming generation of the world. The problem of our world, transparency and lack of transparency. And this has become the enemy number one at the moment. Because without having transparency, anything can come in under the carpet. And that will bring down the humanity to the last straw and the last attack. The corruption, the manipulation, and so on and so forth that can come together if you don't have a proper transparency regime in any transaction, currency be it, commodities be it, and so on and so forth. I think the last point I would like to make a comment. Blockchain, as Prof was saying, just for me is a reality, and that reflects the very meaning of فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ, meaning to say every single thing that we have performed in this world will be blockchain in hereafter. And that shows the Quran speak of the future. Because every single thing, because I understood from you, Prof, and I have read as well, blockchain is immutable. It will be there forever. And that will be recorded. And that is the strength why all the Bitcoin can sustain, because it has the support of very strong and proven security that you mentioned just now. I think with that, I would like to end my presentation, a short one. I wanted to open the floor for any easy question, because Prof Engku has agreed with me just now to take the difficult one. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Okay, any question? Yeah. I cannot see that. Can you? Yeah.
I think we go to slide over.
Okay.
Yeah. One question in terms of your justification to say that Bitcoin is Syariah compliant, especially in terms of the issue of non-legal tender.
Yeah.
Secondly, with regards to the fluctuation in the value of the Bitcoin.
Okay. Non-legal tender is not a Syariah requirement. It's a requirement of the modern society. During 60s and 70s, the US dollar was having, the economy was having contraction. The trust of US dollar has been diminished, and the World Bank got to issue a temporary currency of the world 2 times in the history. Because, yes, there was a legal tender, but there was no value for that US dollar currency. The World Bank got to chip in to sustain the whole import and export of the world. In fact, they were putting $1, they call it new currency, just to take care of the trust which was diminishing during that time. So legal tender is the legal perspective, not the Syariah perspective. Under Syariah, as Imam Malik was saying and Sayyidina Umar was saying, that if people were to start dealing with the skin of the horse, I would apply the ruling of riba on that particular transaction. But Omar backed up, because the company was saying to him, Omar, if you started making the dinar or the currency from the skin of the horse, people will slaughter the horse and horses will diminish. There's no more transportation, and there's no more equipment for the military expansion during that time. They need horses badly than the currency, if you like. So that was the whole idea. The issue of volatility and what have you is common to any currency. It comes and goes. Everything will be very much volatile, and in fact, Bitcoin is not the first, it's not the last. In fact, last month, we have endorsed another currency we call Ether, A-T-H-E-R. Another currency which is very much unique among their users, and we have gone through the Syariah due diligence, and we're very happy to endorse another cryptocurrency in the market. But we have to do due diligence, we have to see their officers, we have to see their mining operation, to see whether they are real or they are ghosts. If they are not real, so we have to put them aside, because we need to see the real people behind the whole thing. So this is my short comment on because any currency which is acceptable to any community is a currency, subject to the regulation by the central bank. This is another layer. But from Syariah, this is good enough to become a currency. Sometimes in a small island, they have no civilization, no internet. They used to use whatever shell among themselves. Is that currency? As simple as that. In order to avoid barter trading, which is very troublesome and very, difficult thing to do, to have equivalent chicken and wheat and chicken and, cow and whatnot. Yeah. Yes. Does volatility plays any part in determining compliancy? No. Volatility is human behavior, demand and supply, and Syariah does not interfere in demand and supply. And Syariah will put a very definite definition of currency, which is a medium of exchange. And the moment it becomes medium of exchange, it should be subjected to the ahkam saraf, the ruling of currency exchange. Yes.
I understand from Syariah that money is not a commodity.
Yeah.
It's just a medium of exchange. But if I buy Bitcoin today, the expectation that I can make money later.
Yes.
Will that be
permissible? Yeah, very much permissible. In fact, interestingly, under IFE standard number one, the title of the standard is not the standard on currency exchange, not on saraf. The standard is named Al-Ma'yar Al-Shar'i fil Mutajarah fil Umulat, in dealing and trading in currencies. So you can buy and sell currency. When you buy and sell currency, from your perspective, it could become the commodity. No, they are not. In fact, in a side perspective, when you sell currencies for each other, they are called Saman and Musman, meaning to say they are the currency against each other. It's not like you are buying commodity for currency. And that's why I have to salute the IFE when I was involved in the whole process as well. We have departed from the word Al-Ma'yar Al-Shar'i fi Saraf. We have make it Al-Ma'yar Al-Shar'i fil Mutajarah fil Umulat. Meaning to say, Sharia standard on dealing with currency and not with foreign exchange per se. Meaning to say, you can invest, you can sell, you can buy, you can predict, you can take position, provided it is hand-to-hand and spot transaction, as the case may be. Yeah.
Question. In relation to the volatility and the trading and speculation in the Bitcoin market, just like any other currency market.
Yes.
Do you think that the policy to protect quote unquote people or investors against severe loss in the case of crash, would that be something that can be part of Syariah to either ban or either have some control?
Yes. I mean, let me bring to you a more tangible example. Put aside currency, it's intangible. Let me bring to you gold standard. Gold is also volatile. Gold is the best asset that Allah has created to become liquid. You can sell anytime you want to sell. In fact, during the war, Bitcoin has no value, sorry to say. Currency has no value, but gold must have the value. So gold is very much liquid. But the problem of gold is not stable. They are very liquid. That's why it fell under HQLA, the high quality liquid asset under Basel III. Though gold is so good, so liquid that can that can satisfy the liquidity coverage ratio LCR under Basel III, but it failed tremendously under stability of the value. So how do we manage the goal volatility? We have the standard, transparency, disclosure, we have the market practice, we have the mining, the whole supply chain. So the whole thing, the same thing we have to do for Bitcoin. We have to put the standard, like World Gold Council, let's say World Cryptocurrency Council, and the whole regulation to be in place. We cannot reject Bitcoin, but we have to put the right procedure of transparency, disclosure, and whatnot. And volatility might come, might not come. This is beyond Sharia. Yeah. Okay. Is there any zakat on cryptocurrency? Definitely yes. Higher than 2.5. I mean, joke, eh? Don't quote me, please. Should be 2.5% as well. Yeah.
I think that's all.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Before this, I joined a talk conducted by BlockTech. One of the participants said that actually we as the layman user can also make the cryptocurrency because the source code is already published on the public server. So like we already know, there are so many cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, people like Coin, and Dogecoin, and so on and so on and so on. Okay. So if one day I decide to make a cryptocurrency, using my name or using Malaysia, is it actually
acceptable?
Any regulation to control the newborn cryptocurrency?
As we speak, even the cryptocurrency that we are talking, Bitcoin and the other cryptocurrency, they are not yet regulated. It's more of, they call over-the-counter. Dr. Wan can explain later. It's OTC at the moment. You can have something quoted in the central bank punya website, in the bursa. There's no price mechanism. There's no mark-to-market. Accounting-wise, it's not yet. We have not developed accounting treatment for the cryptocurrency. So everything is very loose at the moment. That's why we are asking for a minimalist approach to regulate it, to make it above the board. If you wanted to do the same thing, you can do. All the best to you. I mean, no harm. We are living in the open world. Use your code. I would encourage you to do that. Take the challenge, but you have to follow all the rigorous requirement to become a currency. Before I step down, I wanted to say in public and Facebook as well, people took advantage of Bitcoin by launching to the public of the scam, scheme to collect the money and for them to buy the Bitcoin, which they didn't do that. They call binary scheme. They collected from you 100. Now it is 10,000 US dollar. People cannot afford to buy one Bitcoin, so they collect the money from the people, but they didn't put the money. And this is Sharia, non-Sharia compliant, number one. Number two, we scam because the money didn't go direct to Bitcoin, so they make the profit on air. So one day this scheme will burst and people will be blaming my fatwa on Bitcoin. I don't want that to happen. So if you want to do Bitcoin, make sure you put your money, make sure you buy the Bitcoin properly, and you are the owner of the Bitcoin and not having they call synthetic product or derivative product on the Bitcoin. So don't misunderstand me. It is halal as far as I'm concerned. As in Dubai, I have issued a fatwa for Saudi market. But here in Malaysia, we have to wait for the central bank regulation to come in and the JAKIM to give the official opinion. And this today is academic discussion to see what will happen in the future and what are the challenges for our mind, great mind of the scholars, the students, and every one of you, the intelligentsia in this hall. Thank you very much. Yes, we have not done the duty, so we cannot. Yes, Ethereum, yeah. We have to go through. We have to know the people behind that, yeah, and the technology behind them. Yes. No. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.